And we back, baby. We back. Ooh, yeah. We back. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. We back up in this bitch was my man. Ooh. 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 Hey, yeah. Oh. Oh. All right, man. How we all doing tonight? I am wanting to debate some basketball, man. I'm watching the Tigers a little bit right now. I'm on my social media shift for Woodward, just hanging out, and I decided, you know what? I had a lot of fun doing the courthouse the other night. And quite frankly, if I can get some people to come through. Oh, when does the mixtape drop? Yeah, you know it's bombing. What's going on, Anthony? What up, man? Hey, I'm going to drop the link in here. Anybody that wants to hop in and debate basketball, this is an open forum. I just want to keep doing these, man. This is fun. You want some? Come get some. That's all I'm saying. If you want to debate basketball, freaking click that link, accept the challenge, embrace the challenge. We had one person accept the challenge last time, and he debated that Klay Thompson is the fourth most important warrior. And I'm going to be honest with you. I get the shooting numbers haven't been great in this Memphis series. It's disrespectful, man. All right, tweeting this out right now. I'm going to send this to anyone that wants to hop in. But I know the Philly game's happening right now. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Yo, what's poppin', big dog? Dude, thanks for hopping back in the stream, brother. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Guys, I have some exciting news, and I want to announce it. But I also want to wait until some details are finalized. But what I will say is we might have our first sponsor. So, it's a matter of, well, it is official. We have our first sponsor. The stuff that the product that we are going to be sponsoring is on the way. And when we have it in person and once we get some of our logistical stuff figured out on our end, we will have a sponsor. And it is a company you have heard of. But if you're here and you want to debate me, you want to talk about basketball, the topic I brought up is just a general conversation starter. Is James Harden washed? And I'm watching him play. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like, I know he's still like a great playmaker. I get that he's still a great passer. He has vision. The guy can score. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Joel Embiid out there. This guy has a broken face. Like, just straight up. This man's face is broken. And he's out there and he's shooting more shots than James Harden? Like, dog. Like, what needs to happen for James Harden to be in shape this time of year? I would love to know, seriously. Because I watch this man and he looks fragile. He just does. And at the end of the day, it's just not a good look when there's all the pictures of this guy out and partying and you know, like doing stuff like at the clubs, like, and like, don't get me wrong, hey, dude, you know, you make millions of dollars. If you want to make that decision and you want to go do that, hey, by all means. But at the end of the day, don't be surprised if people use that and come back to you with, hey, don't you think a good night's sleep could maybe make you feel a little more aggressive and awake and active in these games? I mean, I mean, the other thing too, it's just, there's a thing where guys, as they get older, and James Harden, he's about what, 34 is where he's going to be at now. James Harden is about to be an old man as far as NBA players go. Yeah, he's 32, so he's about to be 33 and 34 coming up very soon. So, he's not as old as like people put him out to be. Like you could still take care of your body and still have some of that burst. Like I firmly believe the James Harden in Houston at least could have been possible to extend until his mid 30s. But the problem is the guy doesn't come into the season in shape. He doesn't come ready to play. And so you run into these situations where you give this guy the keys to the freaking, to the Bugatti, but he fails his drug test, or he fails his DUI test. You know what I mean? Like this guy, he's just so good. And knowing how good he is and like what he can do makes it so infuriating to see him waste it. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, I get it. Like Ben, first of all, thank you for hopping in, man. Appreciate you. Harden pulling all nighters in studio, little baby is crazy. Like, yeah, dude, I get it. But like, what's another way to listen to like little baby's music? Spotify, Apple Music. If you're a pretentious douchebag, title. But SoundCloud. Here's another thought. They could send you the MP4 file or MP3 file, whichever one you prefer if you want it in video form. But seriously, man, like it's not like here's the difference, because people bring up like the Dennis Rodman comparison. The difference with Dennis Rodman is people would talk about this guy going out and partying and going crazy, and then coming back in practice and lapping these fools in conditioning drills. Dennis Rodman was the kind of guy with his role on this team where he wasn't the scorer. He wasn't the number one guy. His job was to do effort plays. So for him to go out and do that at his age, with his body, with his physique, and his condition, it's just a bad look, man. And so and here's the thing. You look at both of these teams, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets, and they're both in really difficult situations because they both have contracts that they might not want to sign, that they are going to be forced to sign. For the Nets, it's the Kyrie Irving extension. He could make over $220 million on this contract extension. And then you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, who would have to pay James Harden 230, 240. I think he could be eligible for up to $250 million. $250 million for freaking Russell Westbrook with like a little bit of a better jump shot. But like, let's be honest. They're both declining physically. They both don't exactly contribute to winning or make the sacrifice or the changes necessary to affect winning. I mean, the reports are out there, man. I mean, the rumblings are out there that Kevin Durant came into the season and was like, dude, what the hell? Why aren't you in shape? When there's smoke, there's fire, man. And how many different times do we have to see James Harden fail with superstars, right? I mean, obviously, I in my opinion, if he was patient, because it just seemed like they had a bad month with the Brooklyn Nets. And, it seemed like Kyrie was never going to come back. It seemed like Kevin Durant was going to be on the sideline for quite a while. It seemed like this Nets team was out of hope and they were sliding out of the playoff picture. But if they just held on, are you telling me that James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving aren't at least putting up a better fight than the team that we saw play the Boston Celtics in the first round? There is no chance in hell that series goes down the same way. I still think Boston probably wins it just because Boston is the better superior all-around team, and I still think we get a similar version of Harden that we're seeing like right now. But again, you know, we're not getting the Brooklyn Nets without firepower. Like James Harden and Kevin Durant is better than what they had. I mean, Kyrie Irving didn't show up either. So I mean, yeah, I guess yet again, can you really count? Can you really count on James Harden showing up for Brooklyn either? I mean, God. Oh, what a freaking disaster, man. But guys, I posted the link in the chat. I will post it again. If you want some, come get some. All right. Who do you think top 5 head coaches in the league? Ben asks a great question. So, all right, let me pull up. I got to be honest with you, man. I just for the sake of seeing the entire league, all 30 active NBA coaches. So there's the obvious ones, right? There's okay. I got them all up right here. So Nick Nurse has got to be in there. Eric Spoelstra's got to be in there. I would make the argument that if you're going to the Western Conference, I think the easy ones are, I think you got to say Steve Kerr's in there. You got to put Monty Williams in there. And then that's tough because it comes down to me. There's 3 guys. There's Ime Udoka for the Boston Celtics, who have phenomenal season. However, it's only his first year. A lot of it is they have a lot of great talent on that team. However, his defensive scheme is elite. Like in the positions that he's putting Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in, they really are evolving as a team. And he was the coach that they needed. I would say, and then there's Doc Rivers, who say what you will, but Doc Rivers is one of the 15 best coaches of all time. Like, I don't think that placing was necessarily out of, because you got to, listen, man. Yeah, they blew a lot of series. And Doc Rivers just so happened to be the coach of those teams. But again, luck goes into a lot of playoff series. I also just believe that he just had players that choked. I think Paul George crumbled under the pressure. I think you could blame everybody in that locker room, if I'm being honest with you. But at the end of the day, for my 5th slot, I'm going to go Tyronn Lue of the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, it's tough, dude. It's tough to make a top 5 coaching list and leave off Greg Popovich. Pop is the best coach of all time. However, I mean, if you're looking at best coaches going forward, I mean, Tyronn Lue, he's consistent, right? I mean, what happened in Cleveland, the way it crumbled down, it wasn't his fault. They clearly didn't really believe in him and the coach of the future. They thought he was just the coach that succeeded off of LeBron. But I think he really was. I think he's just an excellent coach. Kevin Newsham said, this is an interesting point. Give Chauncey 3 to 4 years, and I think he'll be a top 5 coach. Dude, I really think that we're not giving Chauncey Billups the adequate time in Portland. I think it's a really good observation that, like, this guy can actually do something really special for them. Yo, my guy Aaron, what up, boy? Hey, if you want to argue some basketball, man, click that freaking link. Oh, shoot. Aaron's hopping in. We got someone. If you want some, come get some. This is an open platform. This is an open challenge. If you want it, come get it, man. Click on that freaking link. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. I'm glad everyone's in here. I wouldn't trade Magruder for Harden. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'd trade Rodney Magruder for James Harden. I don't know why, but I would. Sadly, can't argue right now, but any other time I got you. Hey, it's okay, Aaron. Hey, it's all good, man. I understand. You weren't ready. I get it. But you know what? There might be someone else who is. If you have the gumption to argue basketball with me, all you have to do is click on that link and it brings you in. And I will let you in and you can pick the topic. You can literally prepare ahead of time. Come with your own little essay. Have a topic ready to go and try and ambush me with it. I'll still argue with you. So if you want it, click that link. Otherwise, feel free to just be here in the conversation. Feel free to post comments, ask questions in the chat, just like Kevin Newsham is. And he's dropping takes. He's saying he'll be better than Jason Kidd and probably Ty Lue too if he had a decent team to work with besides Dame. I wouldn't go that far yet. I think Chauncey is one of the best minds in basketball. I really think that. And there's a reason why he came from the Tyronn Lue coaching tree. There's a reason why he was able to succeed and get to that spot. And there's a reason why Dame wants to work with him. And it's because Chauncey has that elite mind. He understands the game. Being a point guard, a guy who's been there, done that, won at the highest level. That's everything you want in a coach. And so looking at the landscape and looking at the grander scheme of things, I definitely think he could be a top coach. It's just, what can they build in Portland? Because they don't really have a program. They don't really have a future. They didn't really have direction. It was just kind of like, all right, well, let's just keep trying to run back Dame and CJ. Let's just keep trying to make it work. Let's just keep trying to force it together, but it's just not gonna happen, And so I feel for them in that sense. However, again, the nature of this business, man, or the nature of this game, you gotta win games. And they really need to pull that together. They really need to figure something out because when you have Damian Lillard in the building, man, that's why it's so important with Cade. Why you don't want to be super conservative the entire time, because at a certain point you want to pounce, man. You want to put the igniter fluid on that guy's career and on his guy's ceiling and let him really ignite and keep going forward. So I just you see, even Dallas, for example, how do you see what Luka Doncic is, and how do you not try to put stars around him immediately? How are you just letting this guy continue to get bounced in the first and second round? If I'm Mark Cuban, I'm figuring out everything I can to get this guy into deep, important games early. Unpopular opinion, I don't think Dame can be the best player on a championship team. Ben, I agree with you. I don't think that's a unpopular opinion. I think that's just the reality. I think Dame can be an amazing number 2 on a championship team. However, I mean, guys, listen, there's only a handful of people in this league that can do it. In my opinion, I think Devin Booker can do it. I think he's going to do it. I think Steph Curry is a guy that we've seen do it. Giannis can do it. Kawhi at his prime can do it, but he's torn his ACL. Last time we saw him, they were disappointing, so we don't know that for sure. But outside of that, who else? I don't think the Sixers are getting past the second round. I don't think the Miami Heat have the team to do it. The Denver Nuggets haven't been able to put anything together that was seriously contend for a Western Conference. Oh, no, no chance in hell. No. All right, this is a take I've been wanting to get out here for a while. No chance Heat winning. No. Literally, I would put my savings account on that. They are it's one of those things where the Miami Heat just don't have enough star power. If your number one scoring option is Jimmy Butler in a playoff series, and your number two option is Tyler Hero, it's just not enough firepower in that Eastern Conference. I mean, Giannis would torch those guys. The Boston Celtics, that would be a sweep. Flat out. This Miami Heat team hasn't had a legitimate road to this point. If you want to argue it, again, I'm calling you, man. I seriously don't feel hesitant. I'm not trying to make a wager with my savings account, but Ben, I would do a friendly wager. I would do a pizza bet with you. Also, guys, I've been having an idea too. I was thinking for Courthouse episodes in the future. So, I have a capture card. I also have a PS5. And I also have an Xbox. I have 2K. What if on the Courthouse we could debate some basketball? We can play some 2K too, man. I'm saying, I just want to make these streams like I want this to be like a community hub where like people can hang out and like, you know, like where we can do stuff together and interact. Like, yeah, like these streams are fun, man. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get something to drink. When I come back, I got Phil. Do we got a challenger? I think we do. There we go. Let's see if we can get him loaded in. Yo, Phil.
How's it going, my man?
It's going well. How are you?
Is the service okay?
Yeah, you got any light at all? Can you hear me? Yo, Phil. All right. Having some technical difficulties there, but that's okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get something to drink. We'll see if Phil's back when I get back. But otherwise, if you want some, come get some. Yo, Carson, I appreciate it, man. Dude, I saw you subscribe, Carson. And I went on your YouTube channel because I was immediately fascinated by the claw machine stuff that you're doing. So keep doing your thing too, man. I saw your channel too, and you're you have way more work. You have way more people than I do, man. My gosh. Appreciate it, man. Thank you everyone who's hopping in on the stream. Again, I'm gonna go get something to drink real quick. Not like alcohol or just like a Diet Coke. I'm gonna go get something to drink. Be right back. If you want to hop in and talk basketball, click that link, man. I appreciate it, Carson. Dude, welcome to the stream, man. Appreciate it. I'm gonna drop that link. If anyone wants to hop in, hop in. All right, I'll be right back. All right, everybody. All right, Here's the deal. If you don't want to hop on the stream, totally fine. However, I will take any questions. So, rankings, opinions on players, teams, franchises, Pistons, football, lacrosse, not politics. Oh, Phil, we got him back. Yo, Phil.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Going good, man. How are you?
Good, good. The service still okay? I think we had some technical difficulties in the
Oh,
beginning, but I think we're all right now.
yeah. No, the service is good. I could see a little bit more of you
Nice.
too now.
There you go.
At first I was looking and it kind of looked like I was talking to the Riddler from the new Batman movie. And I was
There you
like,
go.
"Oh my god!" No,
Well, I'm glad I'm clear now. That's all that matters, right?
oh yeah, 100%, man, dude. Thanks for hopping in.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I've been following you for a little bit now. Since you've been kind of getting going at Woodward Sports, been following you for the past like probably 4 or 5 months here since you've been getting going, and enjoy a lot of your content. Obviously, I'm a big
Appreciate
Pistons.
that, man.
Yeah, big Pistons fan. Obviously, for since I was a kid, 25 years old. So I've been Pistons fan since the early mid 2000s when we had our run. So I've been a huge big fan. So
Dude,
yeah,
I'm 24. I turned
yeah,
25 in May.
right,
So I'm right around your age. I remember the first time I actually shout out to Ben who's in here. He actually interviewed me for an article.
there you
Asked
go.
him kind of about that. And I've actually been wanting to make a video talking about like my story, like growing up with the Pistons. I
Yeah.
remember so I'm from the west side of the state, and the Pistons
Oh,
would
are
go to
you?
the
Okay.
yeah. So they used to go to the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids like
Yep.
every year in like the preseason. And
Mhm.
so I remember I got to see them in 2005, the year after they won the championship. I got to see the
Mhm.
NBA champions in my hometown, and that was like the
Awesome.
coolest thing in the world to me. And then even that year, I remember I went to game 1 in the '05 playoffs against Allen Iverson and the
Ooh.
76ers.
Ooh boy.
Um, dude, the crazy one, I got to go to an Eastern Conference Finals game. I got to
Mhm.
go, it was game 3, '05 Eastern Conference Finals against a young Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal.
What year was that? Oh 6?
2005,
Oh,
2005.
2005. Yeah. Oh, that was the year they won the chip then
Yeah.
with
No, that
Shaq.
was the year. That was the year we went back to the finals against the
Oh,
Spurs.
yeah. Oh 06 was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
06 was the
Mhm.
year the Miami. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah, I went to Game 7 with that. Oh, that was probably huge then for you.
Oh, dude, so I went to game 3 and we got like I just remember that was like the one we got our ass kicked. But
Mhm.
I mean it was Shaq and D Wade, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Not much you
It was
can do. Yeah.
yeah, it was just a cool experience to be there, man. But dude,
Awesome.
what do you got for me, man? What questions you got? Any
Um.
takes you want to bring to the forefront?
I was kind of winging it, but I guess I kind of want to talk a little bit about like Killian Hayes. So
Mm,
like
yeah.
obviously Pistons fans have been talking about the potential signing of Jalen Brunson this summer, and my
Yeah.
thing is, say that does happen.
Uh-huh.
That would pretty much give Killian or glue Killian to a primary bench role full time.
For now.
That is unless we do roll out those three guard lineups. Yeah, some nights with Cade, Jalen, and Killian. Say that would happen, but I feel like staying patient with Killian, as he is only 20 years old still, and I feel like keeping him and developing him and improving, while still on that rookie contract would be
Mhm.
pivotal to see if he could end up being that starting guard next to Cade when we
Yeah.
end up starting to compete and whatnot. Because like obviously, if we do sign Jalen to that 4 or 5 year contract that he would be commanding with 20-25 million per year, um, obviously that'd be a big bulking step to like obviously sign a player that would swing right into that two guard slot next to Cade, and obviously Killian would have to take that back step to the sixth man, seventh man bench guy that
Mhm.
obviously he did a little bit last year,
Right.
and so I would wonder what your opinion would be on say we did sign a Jalen Brunson versus just maybe staying low on that option, just keeping Killian and having that as a starting guard two spot, and just
Yeah.
your opinions on that versus
Yeah.
Jalen
No.
Brunson.
No, that's a great question. And it's a good observation too, because
Yeah.
it is kind of being realistic of if a guy like Jalen Brunson comes in and just the reality in general, if we go get another ball handler or another guard, more than
Mhm.
likely they are going to usurp, Killian Hayes in the lineup. Like the reality
Yeah.
is if we draft Shaden Sharp, Killian Hayes would have to work his ass off to get more minutes than Shaden Sharp.
100%.
You know what I mean? That's just the
Yep.
reality of the situation. Now,
Yep.
I think for the interim, I think you can make the argument that that would glue Killian to that bench role. However, I think we've all seen if Killian Hayes, and again, I say this over and over again, like people I think gave him like a little bit too high of expectations
Yeah. In the
out
very
of
beginning. Yeah.
yeah, because first of all, everyone was glued to the Kevin O'Connor video, which first of all, I love Kevin O'Connor, but just because someone thinks they're a number one prospect in a class means they're actually a number one prospect of a class. And even Kevin O'Connor
Hmm.
said at the time, we've all acknowledged he's a project. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
He
like,
was like 18, 19 coming right out, out of France, a whole new
yeah,
system, whole new everything. And plus, he was
exactly.
the first Troy Weaver pick, too. So that was a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah, and dealing with all the injuries he's had, he's really only played
Yeah.
90 games of
90 something
basketball.
games. Yeah.
Now,
Basically a whole full season. Yeah.
now what you can say is in the majority of 90 games, he sucked ass on the offensive end.
Of
Almost the
course. Yeah.
bottom of the league at points and efficiency
Hmm.
and attempts to makes. Like, the guy, at first, like it was almost like, even James Edwards III, he made an article and a point that was really interesting where he talked to Killian and he asked him about what like his evolution of using his body more when going into the rim and getting contact. And he's like, honestly, like I'm just learning how to do that because like he's
Yeah.
growing into that body. Like people forget, like the dude, like look at a picture of him in his rookie year versus
Yeah.
his sophomore year.
Yeah. He got
Totally
very
different
strong in
guy.
his
He
second
got
year. Yeah.
big. So in my opinion, I know he's going to be spending the summer, in the United States, trying to get run with NBA guys, getting in a gym, getting used to that competitive spirit on a court. And I think that'll be good for him. But what it's going to
Yeah.
come down to, I think first of all, I think the bench role for him, I understand like where that can be disappointing because like where he was drafted, you go,
Hmm.
oh well, he has to be a starter. But I think having that lineup and to continue to be a primary ball handler and to get those touches and to be able to get in those positions where he can distribute the ball and do other things, I think that's going to be, crucial for his growth. Because remember, whoever's going to be starting alongside Cade Cunningham, they need to thrive as much without the ball as they do with it. And Killian
Correct. Yep.
Hayes, the other thing we don't talk about on the offensive end, he still doesn't know who he is when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. He's not a
Hmm.
spot up shooter. He really hasn't been much of a cutter. He really hasn't been much of a screen guy. Like, what is he? And that's the thing, is that he
Yeah.
can so often disappear.
So
So
raw.
yeah, exactly. He's super raw. So again, I think you still got to give him chances. Now, here's what I can say is I think if he gets good enough, I think we can have a legitimate conversation. Imagine we draft a guy like Chet or Jabari, and then you can have a lineup of Jalen Brunson, Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Jabari Smith, and
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley. And imagine the length, the versatility. You're looking at like positionless basketball. If Marvin
Correct.
Bagley can become more of like a reliable rim protector, like that's
Hmm.
going to be the key to his development.
Yeah.
I
I
just
I
imagine
agree,
that,
man.
like, because here's the thing, because here's what I really don't want to give up with Killian on. First of all, you watch that Pelicans team, a team that we were all clowning on because the Zion deal was a complete disaster. You're
Defensive
telling me
dogs.
you
I know
don't
where you're
want
going.
Herb Jones on your team?
Yeah.
You telling me you don't want Jose Alvarado on your team?
Hmm.
Like guys like that. Imagine like and Killian Hayes, he's a guy with top draft pick level intangibles and physicality and
On the
has the
defensive end.
potential to be an all-world defender. He
Yep.
really does. And if he
He
can
does.
get there, that's something that's a guy that anybody in the league wants.
Oh yeah. He's one of the best pickpocketers in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and
And
even just with that body and how physical he's gotten too, like even Trey, like we talk about Trey Young has nightmares whenever he plays Killian Hayes. Like
yeah,
there's nights where Killian Hayes is the best defender on the court.
yeah. And you look at Marcus Smart, like he was the fifth, sixth pick in the draft back in 2014, 2015,
Yeah.
something like that. And it's like, he's not known for his offense, but defensive player of the year. So it's like,
Hmm.
and he was drafted fifth, sixth overall back in that draft. So it's like, if you can bring that on the defensive end, every team needs that. Every team has a spot for that. So it's definitely interesting. I love Killian. I love his defensive game. Also, the thing about it is like Troy Weaver did say in that post season press conference that you know, he talked about Cade being a 20 years old, and he's like, he doesn't really want the backup being another 20-year-old as well. So it seems like he is going to get out and get some veteran guards to surround around the Cade in the backup area because
Yeah.
I feel like going young on both aspects on the guard spot is obviously not the way to go. So I know Troy realizes that. So I do see this offseason he's gonna probably sign at least one or two like veteran guards. I'm not sure if Corey Joseph will come back, obviously, but we'll see about that. But
Right.
obviously, it seems like Troy will be wanting some veteran guards to surround around the Cade area. So,
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of another
yeah.
great Pistons guy in here, we got Thomas Chavez, Pistons writer for Woodward Sports.
Howdy,
Thomas, what's
howdy.
going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing good. Welcome to the courthouse, man. You stepped into my dome, my gladiator dome. So if
Yeah, I
if
thought
you
I'd
will.
stop by for a few minutes while I wait
Oh,
for this Suns game to start.
oh heck yeah, man, dude.
Yeah, Philly game just got over with. They won by 20 against Miami. Crazy.
Yeah, I listen. I that's not surprising. I kind of figured it was going to be like a Miami in 5 is kind of the vibe that I got from this series.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that atmosphere with Joel Embiid coming back, the energy and like the momentum that brings. That's a different thing. But Thomas, you bring up a good point. Chris Paul's birthday.
It is Chris Paul's birthday.
The point god, Chris
37.
Paul.
The Thomas Chavez's favorite basketball player of all time.
He's
I was
one
about
of
to say
mine.
greatest player of all time, but I can't do that to myself. So
He's on my Mount Rushmore of favorite players of all time, without a doubt. I need to get a Chris Paul jersey.
I've got Rockets and Suns one if you want to give me double value for it.
Oh, you got double value. Get out of here, man.
That way I can buy 2 more.
There you go. There you go. Hey Thomas, so as a fellow Pistons writer, we're talking about Killian Hayes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the most interesting storylines going into next season, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, in your opinion, is an underlying storyline that we don't talk enough about as Pistons fans?
Sadiq Bey is built to play the 4, not the 3.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people just glance over it because Jeremy's here and they want one of the 3 bigs in the draft.
Right.
But if the Pistons fall out of the top 3, I wrote an article about AJ Griffin the other day. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility that the Pistons target someone who can play the 3 and slide Sadiq up to the 4.
Yeah, I think ultimately, it depends on where they get in the lottery. Like if they're in that top, if they're in that top 3, and they have their picking of the litter, I have a very hard time seeing them pass up on that pick and roll partner with Cade. And Adam Beydoun, he always talks about draft the cocaine, suck my dick. Like Adam, as he does. He in my opinion, I think the cocaine in this modern NBA is those long, versatile defenders and pick and roll partners that can stretch the floor. Like those are like I will take 40 Herb Joneses on this team, please and thank you. Like guys like that every day of the week.
Yeah, of course. I mean, certainly top 3 pick, you're definitely taking one of those 3. I think to get the most out of Sadiq Bey, playing the 4 at least when one of the bigs is off the floor is going to be really beneficial, especially when he's running with the second unit.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. I think that can unlock some of his offensive game a little bit more because he's not going to be going up against a more athletic 3, and he's going to be going up against, there are athletic 4s in the NBA, but there's not as many.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have an article I'm almost done with that I want to get up tonight, and it's called 3 Things the Pistons Should Learn from the NBA playoffs. I'm literally a paragraph away from being done with this article. Like, I'm not far at all. And so I won't give away the entire article, but I will give the 3 things just as conversation points and would love to know your guys' thoughts. So first, the Pistons need to get longer and more versatile. In my opinion, I think the teams that you're seeing succeed right now are the teams that are long and versatile on the defensive end and guys who can switch multiple positions. You look at the Boston Celtics, the reason why their defense is so dangerous is because you can literally ask almost any of those guys to guard almost any position at any given time. They're all super long and they can block and get into passing lanes. They all can like it's the defensive, like collective team defense to me is like the biggest indicator of who's going to win the title. Because like you look at the Phoenix Suns, how good they are defensively, the Boston Celtics, how good they are defensively. People don't talk about the Warriors. They don't talk about how much of like of a glue guy Draymond is, and as good as their offense is and as explosive as it is, their defense too. They don't make it an easy night for teams on either end. So I think that's a one big thing. Second, Cade Cunningham can't be the only offense in Detroit. They need to get another guy who can score the ball. You're looking at Luka Doncic and like how it's going for them with how heliocentric he is in the offense.
Yeah.
They've been really struggling because of that. And then positionless basketball is here and the Pistons should embrace it. Those are my 3 things I think the Pistons should take away. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, first off with the Luka point, it's going to be really important to bring in at least. I think Sadiq Bey can be a third guy.
Yeah,
Not necessarily right now, no, but like at his peak, I think he can be a third guy.
yeah,
But they need that second scorer that can just go get a bucket next to
Yeah.
Cade.
mm-hmm.
Because we're seeing it now. Like Luka can get you into the second round, but once he's against competition that's at the top seeds, they're just going right at him on defense, and he's getting tired out.
Right.
Can't play any offense when he's all exhausted and all that. So
Yeah, exactly. He
definitely
almost
need-
becomes a liability as the game goes on because he's expending so much energy just to create offense for the team.
And then for the switchability and length, I think that we're seeing some of that now. They don't really have a lot of tall guys on the team, but they have a lot of long guys. Isaiah Stewart has a really long wingspan. Jeremy Grant.
Isaiah Stewart can be a really good ball switching defender too. Like he can, Isaiah Stewart, like people like dismiss him immediately that he can't be our big man of the future. I think that's cap. I really do. Listen, man, I grew up in an era where I saw a guy with a very similar build dominate the league. Now, granted, this is a different NBA. Isaiah Stewart's going to have to be able to do a little bit more on the offensive end in order to justify his time. Ben Wallace, he got away with not being a great offensive player. You know what I mean? But I think Isaiah Stewart, I think he's a guy that we dismiss a little too much.
He's starting to hit them threes now too.
Yeah.
He's starting to hit them threes now.
Yeah. He got a lot better. He got
that green light, man. He didn't have much opportunity earlier on the season, and once they gave him that green light towards the back end, he started knocking, like 60% almost. It seemed like. So he'll be working on that all summer, and it seems like he'll get a green light towards the beginning of next season too. And sky's the limit for him.
A lot of it stemmed from his aggression too.
Yeah,
they did. From
let it fly.
Yeah, well, like just from like his offensive rebounding, getting second chance points, trying to be a screen partner. Don't like just getting after the basket. Like, Isaiah Stewart, like, he's just a dog, man. He's a guy I don't like betting against those types of guys. That's just my opinion.
And Sean, you talk about long, lanky defenders on defense and players that would be great on the forward position. We have one in Jeremy Grant right now.
Yeah.
And then I know, Thomas, you just talked about pulling Sadiq to the 4 where he's best suitable. So what would you guys best suit and want for Jeremy Grant's future? Would you like him to stay here and be that great lanky forward that is pivotal in the league defensively and offensively, what he can bring? Or would you rather have Sadiq get pulled to that 4 and let Jeremy get traded for maybe that first-round pick in Portland? Or how do you guys see Jeremy's future playing out this offseason? And where would you best like him to go or stay?
I very much like to pay attention to what Troy Weaver says in the way that he acknowledges things. It's interesting. Like leading up to the deadline, he was very honest. Like, yeah, like we're listening to offers, but like it never sounded like something from his end was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Going into this offseason, in the final press conference before the offseason, they asked Troy Weaver about Jeremy Grant's future. And do you guys remember what Troy Weaver said? We will not leave any stone unturned.
Yep.
I think that is a very cryptically transparent answer. It's like, Troy Weaver, you son of a bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because like on one hand, it's like, you could take that as like, yeah, we're gonna like extensively talk about like an extension. But on the other hand, I think there's gonna be a lot of teams. Like, I think the Chicago Bulls, the Utah Jazz, the Portland Trailblazers. I think there's a lot of teams that are looking at their situation right now and saying, we need a Jeremy Grant to be more serious. I mean, Chicago, they just looked outmanned in that series. And like once they lost Lonzo Ball and once Alex Caruso was out for a while, they couldn't get that cohesion back on the defensive end. It feels like how the Pistons gained their identity at the beginning of the year? Chicago lost theirs as the year went on. And
same with Cleveland.
And we found out who they really were when they faced actual competition. So, but Thomas, I gotta ask, man, who you got as the favorites for the chip right now, and why is it the Phoenix Suns?
I really want to say the Suns. I think that Golden State, if they move on, is going to give them a really hard time, especially with Draymond. Because right now the Mavericks just don't have that interior presence to like dissuade DeAndre Ayton from going at it.
The Mavericks should go get DeAndre Jordan.
Again.
He's doing so well for the Sixers right now.
Yeah. Hey, third time's the charm, man.
I just think Chris Paul right now is playing some of the best basketball of the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
He's on that vegan diet, man. What do you mean?
Dude, say what you will, man. Whatever voodoo magic bull he's doing, it's working. That man is not aging. He's on that TB12, like they sold their soul to the devil type stuff, man. Like they're drinking voodoo blood or something.
But it's crazy because just like 2-3 years ago, when he had the hamstring injuries, it kind of seemed like his career was kind of dwindling down to that path, man. But the past year or two, it's just skyrocketed
racked up, yeah.
So I want to bring up this comment. Here's Johnny. He brings up Grant definitely could defend better, which pisses me off. Does it take Gay to like a fire under his ass? Here's my answer to that. And guys might not like this, but like, what do you want him to do, man? Like guys like Jeremy Grant, like he's expending so much energy on the offensive end, especially towards the beginning of the season because he was our number one option. And in order to be competitive, Detroit had to heavily rely on him. And like in an 82 game regular season, when you're developing, like we know Jeremy can lay the clamps on a guy on a night to night basis if need be. But let's be honest, human nature kicks in. You have to manage your energy with how much he has to take the load on the offensive end. Even though Jeremy's skills are probably best on the defensive end, it's really the fact that like, he can score that level and do that like we needed him to. Now, I would argue if he were to come back, that his role would change. And people and like I'm not saying he didn't defend LeBron in Denver. I'm saying he can still do that.
Let's also not pretend like he did an amazing job on LeBron in Denver.
Right.
Like Jeremy, I don't think Jeremy Grant's ever been a lockdown defender. He's always been a good defender, but he's never been
a really solid, like top tier, like wing defender. But like, he's not Drew Holiday, or like he's not a clamp down defender. He's the type of defender you want though, and I would argue like he's the best. He's like one of the best third or fourth options you can have. Like I just think realistically, if Chicago really wants to maximize what they have going on, I really think relying on Patrick Williams instead of bringing in a guy like Jeremy, who kind of fits where they're at right now, who you don't have to develop and kind of hope just fills that role fine enough. You know what I mean?
Do you guys know what kind of contract number extension he's commanding this offseason? Do you know what that number might be at all?
For Grant?
Yeah, for Grant.
It'd be at or above $30 million a year. It would be.
I was gonna say,
it'd be about a $30 million. I'd say it'd be about 4-year, 120. You think that's about right, Thomas?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think, especially if it's going to be with the Pistons again, he's going to want definitely upwards of $30 million a year.
Yeah, he'd be getting paid.
That's pretty hefty.
He'd be getting paid as one of the franchise leaders. Like
yeah.
you would
And that'll go until his probably age 32 season-ish, roughly.
And so to answer your question, with that, if I were Troy Weaver, in my opinion, if you land a top 3 pick, Jeremy Grant is not on your team by draft night. In my opinion, I would want it to look very similar to what the Lions just did, where with your top like your top 3 pick, you go get your safe guy, like Jabari Smith Jr., right? Your guy that you come in, defend. He's almost like your pass rusher in the NFL, your rim protector, your lob threat. And then you make the trade and you get another lottery pick and you draft a guy like, say, Benedict Mathurin or Shaden Sharp, and you get your guy like your Jamison Williams, your risk, your game changer, your spark plug, your risky move, so that you get a guy who's solid, who can come in and affect winning and play defense day one. But then you also get your potential firecracker as well,
And then what about free agency afterwards? Where does our cap free agency market land if we do get if say that alternative option that you just did goes through with the Shaden Sharp and the Jabari Smith Jr. kind of draft picks? Where would our free agent money go to, would you say?
I don't think the Pistons build through free agency.
I still think they can bolster their roster a little bit just because they're gonna have the most cap space in the league. Like they're not gonna build through free agency, but like they're gonna add somebody. You know what I mean? Like even if it's like a low key veteran, like they're gonna add somebody.
Yeah.
But I agree with Thomas. Like I just would never expect Pistons to build through the draft. Not through the draft, through free agency. Like it's just never going to happen. Like if we're going to get a big star to come to Detroit, it's going to be through a trade. Like it's going to be a cashing in type of trade like Utah did for Mike Conley, or that's a bad example because we don't want to do what Utah did because holy crap.
Who knows if Donovan Mitchell's so frustrated in Utah, maybe Jeremy Grant, couple firsts.
Yeah, apparently all we need to do to get Zion is just trade Jeremy Grant. All we need to do is trade Killian and Sadiq and then a first, and then boom, we have them. Like that's all we need to do. Bill Simmons said it himself.
It's amazing the value that some people think players hold.
Dude, I will say, and I will argue this until the day I die. Few things have been worse for the game of basketball than the trade machine. The trade machine is my least favorite thing. Listen, man, I get it. It's fun. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes it's fun to play around and see like what type of trades you can make. And like if you're like trying to formulate ideas, it's good for at least seeing what's possible, right?
Yeah.
However, when you have people that it just, oh my gosh, it just anger. Like people are just, who says no? We'll just throw away this trade package. This is totally what they're going to do. And then like trade deadline happens. Nothing to that deal ever happens.
Yeah, it's kind of like mock draft simulators with the NFL. People just throw out their mock draft, and it's like, you're 99% wrong. Maybe you got their first round pick right, but
Yeah,
the rest
remember
of it,
when the
no.
Lakers were convinced that all they needed to do was give up Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn in a first, and then their season would be fixed? They'd get Jeremy Grant or whichever star they wanted for THT, Kendrick Nunn in a first.
Yeah.
There's an ESPN writer who talked recently about the old Brooklyn Nets owner, the Russian guy. He was
Yeah.
addicted to the trade machine. And so he'd bring into the meetings, the front office meetings, he'd bring in a bunch of trades that he put together on the trade machine and be like, "Can we get any of these guys in?" And just like had them on like a sheet of paper.
What kind of businessman is that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the guy who created the trade machine at one point worked in the Pistons front office. Like, he eventually became the general manager of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
That's weird.
So, well, because I mean, yeah, it was made for a completely different purpose at the time. And then, it's just morphed into what it is.
Well, my least favorite website right now is that damn Tankathon, the Tankathon website. I keep getting 6 and 7s for the Pistons, man. What's going on?
Dude,
That's
so we did so in our last episode of the podcast, we did some Tankathon spins at the beginning. Literally every time I've gone on there, I've gotten the worst luck in my entire life.
Yeah.
I go on and I literally get the first or second pick, like the first 4 spins. Like, I had to keep going to get a bad one so we could talk about what it would look like. Like, it was just like spin after spin. I was just like, holy God, dang. But man, so all right. So we have a crazy weekend of basketball coming up though, because tonight it's Suns Mavericks. Tomorrow, Boston and Brooklyn play game 3.
Milwaukee.
Right? Oh, Boston, Milwaukee. My apologies. Boston, Milwaukee. And then
you call yourself an NBA writer.
I know. I'm a fake ass. I just got exposed on my own stream.
Fake fan.
Yeah, I don't
even know
what
the
I'm
teams.
talking about. But yeah, and then on top of that, we have Warriors Grizzlies as well. Who you guys got in game 3, Warriors Grizzlies?
Oh God, I don't want to pick.
You have to.
I got Warriors.
Yeah, I got Warriors as well.
Yeah, because they'll be home.
They're
for
in
the next
Golden
2
State,
games,
right?
So
yeah, they're in Golden State. It's in
the next 2 games are in work. Yeah,
I've got Warriors then. I think if they were in Memphis, maybe they'd have a chance, but I think Warriors in 6, if I'm going to be honest.
Listen, man.
I'm going to predict the rest of the series.
Yeah, listen, man. The Memphis Grizzlies, listen, great season. And I know they love playing on the road. However, you know what road experience they haven't had yet? The Warriors. Perhaps the craziest fans in basketball as far as the volume that they can produce. Like when Steph Curry's like going crazy and just hear Stephen Curry, and it's just like everyone's like freaking out, like and like you can't do anything. Like when
that atmosphere is going to be insane.
Oh, it is going to be freaking nuts, man.
Deafening.
Yeah. And you tell me Klay Thompson's gonna keep shooting 20-something% for the entire series from beyond the arc?
He's gonna have another 30-point game here in the next couple of games, I bet you.
Oh yeah. He could go for 40, man.
Oh yeah, and a quarter.
Yeah. Klay is that guy, man. Well, guys, I'm thinking this is gonna be the end of the stream. Thank you to Phil, awesome. Tom. Thank you guys both for hopping in. Real quick, before we hop off, Thomas, tell people where they can follow you and where they can find you writing.
You can follow me at Twitter. It's TLChavez43. And you can find me on the Woodward Sports website under the news section. I'm just mixed in there, You'll find me somehow.
Hey.
Awesome.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Bringing Pistons content to Woodward Sports, man. That's absolutely what's up, man. And then Phil, what about you, man? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter. It's called at Phil Cross, PhilCross. I was actually, if you guys happen to catch NBA Today on ESPN at 3 o'clock today, I was actually on there. Malika Andrews posed a
Oh,
question
no way.
on her Twitter, and I was actually the first question they had. It was posed on there. They had my name. They had the whole question block underneath, and Kendrick Perkins went on there and had a whole 1 minute segment on how it was about how the Bucks can help Giannis excel with the Boston defense doing what they're doing in that series. So they actually had a 1 minute bit segment. You can actually go on my Twitter, and I have a whole thing about that. So it was pretty cool. It was actually happening today. But yeah, at Phil Cross is my Twitter. That's my main one I usually do for content with just Pistons talk and all that good stuff. So yeah, you can find me on there.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's the second
Yeah,
biggest show you've been on today. No, I'm kidding. I'm
I
totally
know,
kidding.
right?
I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding.
Hilarious.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, man. Well,
Right.
guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. The Courthouse is going to return on Wednesday. Jeff Iafrate is going to be joining me on that, and he'll be joining me every Wednesday from here on out. So the challenge is out there. If you want some mother, come get some. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Be there. But anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. We will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.
Have a good one, guys.